There's an old tale about a farmer who had a persistent problem with crows eating seeds in his fields. Every day he would run out, waving his arms and screaming, trying to scare them away. Sometimes he would even set traps or lay out shiny objects to deter them. But no matter what he did, the crows would still come back the next morning, squawking louder than ever. Frustrated, the farmer finally sought advice from an elder in the village. The wise elder smiled and told him that he was just wasting his energy trying to fight the crows. Instead, plant something that they don't want. And so the next season, the farmer switched his crops, and the crows vanished just like that. Our bad habits are like those crows. They return no matter how hard we try to scare them off or trap them. But the secret to curing them forever is not about fighting them harder, but changing the field altogether. And today, I want to show you how I did it, because if I could overcome it, so can you. So what does it mean to change the field when it comes to breaking your worst habit? Most people focus their energy on resisting the habit. But just like the farmer chasing the crows, this approach often leads to failure and frustration. Here's the thing about bad habits. They don't exist because you're lazy or weak or just lack willpower. They exist because at some point, they served a purpose. Let me explain. When I was in college, I had this awful habit of procrastinating into the very last minute. I tell myself, okay, today's the day I'm gonna start this paper. And then before I knew it, I was knee deep in a YouTube rabbit hole about the history of waffles, or watching a raccoon try to steal a watermelon. I did this because deep down, procrastination was my brain's way of trying to avoid doing something that was stressful. It wasn't me being lazy, it was my brain's way of protecting myself from the uncomfortable, even if it meant sabotaging me in the long run. And bad habits work the same for all of us. Whether it's snacking when you're bored, doom scrolling before bed, or biting your nails during a meeting. Your habit isn't random, it's your brain's way of looking for a quick fix to solve a deeper need. In order to actually break that habit, you need to understand the loop and ask yourself, why am I doing this in the first place? I realized that my procrastination wasn't because I wasn't disciplined, but because I was trying to avoid something. I wasn't trying to escape it, I was just trying to avoid the stress that it was going to put on my brain. And your brain isn't the enemy either, it's just misunderstood. We often treat habits like weeds. We just pull at the surface and think that our problem is gone for good. But as long as the root's still there, buried in your brain's habit loop, it'll just grow right back. But the good news is that you don't need to uproot everything. What you really need is just to answer 3 key questions about your habit. What's triggering it? What are you really craving? What's the reward your brain thinks it's getting? Let's walk through this together with an example from my own life. A while back, I had a terrible habit of reaching for my phone the moment I woke up. I'd tell myself just a quick scroll and then I would get up and start my day. But then an hour would go by and I'd be knee deep in conspiracy theories about how pigeons are government spies. And spoiler, they're probably not, but who knows? But when I asked myself what I was really craving, the answer was clear. It was dopamine. My brain recognized that every time I woke up, reaching for my phone would give my brain a little boost of dopamine that I was craving. My brain didn't care that I was missing the gym or killing my productivity or being late to work even. So here's how I rewired that loop. Waking up is a non-negotiable, and your phone being nearby is pretty inevitable too. Instead of grabbing my phone, I replaced that habit with something that would still give me a sense of connection or stimulation. For me, it's journaling just a simple thought about what I'm looking forward to that day, or reading a single page of a book that I have nearby. And over time, I've noticed that I don't even crave that immediate scroll anymore because I'm just looking forward to doing this new habit that's actually making me feel like I'm in control of my day. This is where you come in. What is your worst habit? What's the cue? What's the routine? And what's the reward? This is where things get interesting because the habit really isn't about the action itself. It's about the craving. Instead of trying to stop the habit, you swap it out for a new habit that satisfies that exact same craving. Now think about your habit. What is one small thing that you can do to replace it? It doesn't have to be complicated, just something that still scratches the same itch without the guilt. When your brain feels that sense of relief after making the right choice, you are training your brain to want to continue to do this. And these habits become even easier to stick with when you create an environment that actually works for you. Have you ever noticed how it's so much easier to make choices when you're in an environment that supports them? Your environment can either help or it can sabotage you. For example, when I was trying to break my phone scrolling habit in the morning, I didn't just rely on willpower. I removed that temptation altogether by leaving my phone in the living room, so when I woke up every morning, it wasn't there immediately ready for me to grab. And I replaced that space where my phone would be with my journal, so I had a new trigger to reach for. The key takeaway being just making the environment do the heavy lifting for you. And here's the thing about habits. Small wins create momentum. You don't have to change everything at once. In fact, going in too fast is why most people quit. Instead, focus on what I call micro victories. If you're tackling procrastination, start with just 5 minutes of focused work. If it's eating healthier, just swap out one donut for a carrot. Every tiny win rewires your brain, proving to yourself that you can do this. And let's be real, no matter how good your intentions are, you're gonna slip up. But here's the thing, slipping up isn't the problem, it's what happens after you slip up. Instead of pretending that you'll be perfect forever, make a plan on how you'll bounce back. For me, this means having a reset ritual ready to go. When I find myself falling back into these old habits, I stop and pause and ask myself these questions. What triggered that? Was I tired, stressed, bored? What was I really craving? Was it dopamine, energy, distraction? What do I need to do this time? Do I need to take it a step further and just ship my phone back to China? The key is to just approach this with curiosity instead of guilt. Here's the mindset that I want to leave you with. Your worst habit is not a life sentence. It's just a pattern that you've repeated time and time again. And you can change them. So I want to know in the comments, what is a bad habit that you're ready to tackle? And if this video helped you, it means so much if you just give it a thumbs up. And if you're new here, welcome. I make new videos every week and I hope that you'll subscribe. Thanks so much for watching. I believe in you. You got this. I'm rooting for you. And I will catch you in that next video. See you later.